Flat Earth Debate live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Brian's Logic, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server. So, welcome one and all.
How are you?
Hello.
Oh,
Good morning.
Good morning, it's good to be here. I'm absolutely exhausted. So I've spent all of the yesterday's 2 evenings over the weekend. If I sound drunk, it's because I'm tired. Fiddling with stupid computers that keep failing. So I hope, having twiddled enough knobs, this computer won't fall over in the middle of a live show now that we're under full load, so to speak. Anyway, good to be here. Everyone had a good
good to
weekend?
have you.
Say again, Neil?
I said it's good to have you, but this is going out to refracted curvature. If you're okay, can you come on the show and tell us you're all right with the hurricane?
Oh, right. Of course, you've had people hit by hurricanes, right?
Yeah, and Brian sent him a message. He hasn't responded, and I think that was right in his area.
Maybe he's busy. Dealing with the hurricane.
Well, that's why I just said that. If he listens, maybe he listens to the show, and he'll send somebody a message that he's okay.
Maybe he's lost power and wants to keep conserving his phone battery, not by, letting people on Skype know. Man, I do sound drunk. I didn't think it would be this bad when I started. I'm like, I'll cope, I'll be fine. No worries.
Well, I actually thought, at first I was only concentrating on North Carolina, and it had gone out of my head that it was Tennessee and North Carolina, because they kept on talking about North Carolina online and that. The mountains up in the mountain, is it the Appalachian Mountains? But I remember then, hang on, refracted curvature, Tennessee, refracted curvature is there. So I sent him a message. I haven't heard that from him yet, but hopefully him and his are okay.
Yeah, our prayers go out to him. Hopefully he's okay. Rubbishy living in a disaster area.
Yeah, but that's just it, Nathan. A lot of those areas, they're not equipped for that because it never happens to them. These are places that were in the mountains.
Oh, I see. So this is an area that typically be hit by, obviously my geography's rough. It wouldn't normally be hit by a hurricane in this area.
Correct.
I see.
Florida would be far more prepared for something like that than...
Yeah, I've been in one.
The mountains,
I've been in a hurricane. I was at the southernmost tip. I was on, I can't remember the name of the island. I think it's called Key West. And I got barricaded into a pub. So we drove down to attend a hurricane party where we were barricaded into a bar, having locked our Corvette that we'd rented in a garage miles away so it wasn't damaged. And yeah, we just partied. I think after it was all subdued and everything had sort of calmed down, we went outside and it was just destruction everywhere. Trees uprooted and cars turned over, and just the place was a mess. Just completely, smashed to pieces by bits of brick and all sorts of crap just floating around. I mean, you could hear it. It was loud enough to know what was going on. But you think, man, if you were out in that, you'd be killed easily. I
know you're telling the truth, because that's exactly what they call them, hurricane parties. They do it in New Orleans a lot. A lot of hurricane parties there.
Yeah. So we drove down from Miami to Key West just for this party. And that drive was something I'll never forget till the day I die. It was amazing. From Miami to Key West, that drive across all these bridges, across all these islands, absolutely spectacular, just breathtaking. The whole journey in a soft top Corvette, it was awesome. The journey down there was just fantastic. So if you're of that area in Florida and you like regularly drive around there, you know what I'm talking about. It's just spectacularly beautiful.
Sounds awesome, actually. That area, I heard, is awesome to see.
Yeah. Anyway,
Really flat, that area.
very.
Oh, it's flat.
Yeah, very. That was noticeable also. Very, very, very flat. At least the bits I was driving.
Sorry.
Go on.
I was just going to say that even where Lake Pontchartrain is, that's in New Orleans, isn't it? Lake Pontchartrain.
That's
and
correct.
the elevation at either side, like the average elevation, like I looked at the opposite side elevation of that lake or whatever, and it's like 4 foot, 6 foot, all this kind of thing, 2 foot above the waterline of that lake. And you're going back several miles before you get any kind of 20, 30 foot above elevation above the lake. Do you know what I mean? It's just all this little, like hardly any elevation above the lake. You don't need it because it's just a lake. But I mean, it's just like that. It's all for several miles. There's basically no elevation changes. Like
Elevation, you say?
requiring a flat plane.
Yeah, Neil's pointing out that when you, back in the day, would argue about how much elevation change there was from the horizontal plane of reference, always reference to sea level, that's a flat Earth prerequisite that's used to describe the deviation from the horizontal, right? Well, back in, I don't know, 2015, 16, 17, we'd be arguing about curve calculations that were derived from the horizontal plane of reference with eye levels described from perpendicular vertical eye height with respect to sea level. All of these flat Earth prerequisites were utilised in the first instance to then move forward and argue about derivations and calculations from those flat Earth measurements to say, how much Earth curve do we have? It's nuts when you think back on it, how many flat Earth words and terms and measurements were actually used back in the day when we did argue about Earth curve as flat Earthers. And Neil saying, elevation, you say? What, height above sea level?
Exactly, Nathan.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something else, right? Just we're talking about like Pontchartrain there. One of the things I pointed out concerning what I pointed out concerning that I got ridiculous amount of anger off the ballers for because they couldn't deal with it, was that I showed that there's inferior mirage at the opposite side of the lake. Right now, where they're saying where they think the bridge is going down over a curve, behind that point there's inferior mirage. Inferior mirage cannot happen unless there's a tangible surface of water or land for it to happen upon. Right? That's why you will often see inferior mirage giving you the impression that the horizon is a lot closer than it is, or than it would be without the inferior mirage. So you'll see a boat that's missing half at the bottom, but when you zoom to it, even if it's at a bit of a distance, when you zoom to it, you can see it's just inferior mirage. And everyone accepts, well, that's just inferior mirage. It's not our curve. Now, back in 2016, they were trying to claim it was our curve, right? Just so everyone knows. But inferior mirage requires a tangible surface. So if you're seeing inferior mirage 30 miles away, then you're seeing a surface at 30 miles away, let's just say, for example. And it's just one of these things where people just look past and they don't really realize the power of it. It's like you can't see inferior mirage at any distance without that there being a surface, because it can't happen without a surface. You won't see inferior mirage up on the side of a cliff. You won't see it up underneath of an airplane. It doesn't happen in those places. It needs the air pressure and temperatures that happen on a surface. It won't happen other places. So if you're seeing an inferior mirage, we were always...
Sorry to interrupt. Well, I just want to shout you out. So I've just brought up your video that's called Tangent Levels LOL, which I thought was excellent. And although you say at the beginning that it's going to be relatively short, it's not. It's 15 minutes long. But it's still well worth watching. and for Brian, exceptionally concise. Joking aside, go and check out Brian's most recent video, if nothing else, for a bit of hilarity in the comments where they've given him precisely what I told them not to. Don't give me endless paragraphs of waffle. Yeah, he got plenty of endless paragraphs of waffle. Yeah?
That's all I got. Yeah,
check it out.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
let me just finish my shout out. So it's called Brian's Logic. That's the YouTube channel. I've just put a link to it in the live stream chat. It's on screen now. You can see it right there, right? So go and click on it. Give Brian a subscribe if you haven't already. And like the video. Leave a reply to some of the triggered fundies telling them, yeah, Earth's measured flat and, yeah, equidistant to the centre of a ball that's measured with flat Earth to produce it. That was my favourite bit in the video, actually, Brian, when you're like, where'd you get this ball from? Without the ball to exist with point A, which is his centre of the sphere. You'll understand when you watch the video. But without point A, you've got nothing. You can't pretend that you're taking these measurements from tangents unless you've got a sphere that you're not measuring from to pretend you've got them to come from. I mean, it was great. It was a really good video, Brian.
Thank you. Yeah.
I just left the... Sorry.
Go on, Angels.
I just left the I just went on the channel, your channel, Brian. I left a comment on the guy who's trying to claim like level is curved. I'm like, stop it. Get help.
Look, the only person that was in there that I saw so far, and I haven't seen all of the comments yet, but I've seen a good few of them earlier, and was just one commercial pilot called Trevor Austin, who said the only point that's level with B on your diagram, or can be level with B, is B. So B is level with itself. So 1 point.
A single point. Hold on. He says the only point that's level. I heard you using that terminology as well. I almost commented on it, but I didn't. But I'm glad you phrased it that way. Yeah. Single points do not produce a level. Yeah. 2 points with no elevation change between them. No part being higher or lower than the other. 2 points. This tangent bollocks. Single points, lads. Yeah, you're not going to wash with that. Yeah? And like the guy I know me, oh, well, if I zoom in, it's flat. No. No part on a ball is ever flat.
Yeah, it's exactly. There's no, you can't have level with just 1 point. Level is no point higher or lower than another. That means 2 points that are at equal elevation to each other, no point higher or lower. Now, if you have 2 points on a sphere or a circle, then one of those points will always be a drop from the other. Each one of those points, it depends on how you orientate the sphere or a circle to yourself. The other point will always be at a drop from the other. That means a drop. That means not. That means at a lower elevation. It means a measured. You could measure, if it was real, you could measure it, right? So how do you even measure a drop in elevation from 1 point to another without level being a horizontal plane? You can't. The whole thing is impossible.
I'll tell you how. That's why you got to go into the center of the ball. That's the only way.
No, that doesn't work. If you're trying to use level in reality, you cannot pre-assume that it's equal distance from a center of a globe. You can't do that because the point, if I'm standing here now in my kitchen and I'm looking out towards my front door, that means the point where the front door is at a lower elevation to where I'm standing. If you know what I mean, in distance. Okay, that would be flat. It'd be flat in my house, right? Because it's a house. But it doesn't matter.
I've got to stop you, right?
2 points.
I've just got to stop you. What Brian is explaining in this video is elementary, right? The definition is violated if you say that it's equidistant from the centre point of a sphere, right? That violates the law of non-contradiction. What Brian's doing is taking an absurd notion that is held by our opponents who believe in a ball and pointing out to them in a complicated way how this elementary principle they deny is undeniable even if you make it complicated, and try and describe points that are around a ball as being level. They're not. It's utterly absurd. But this elementary base principle must be violated if you want to believe you're on a ball. What's the consequence of that? Endless paragraphs of boring nonsense from idiot glurfs who want to tell you that a point is a level. Okay, lads. This is your fundy belief getting the better of you.
That's an impossibility.
Yeah.
I even had the guy who got me the baller who got me the pitch data. He was writing some nonsense about how horizontal changes its orientation in relation to itself type stuff in my last video about the pitch data. And one of the flat earthers came in and said, I don't need 3 paragraphs of boring. It's just flat. You know what I mean? He said to him. Because that's what we're getting. As it is, we're getting paragraphs of boring waffle from the ballers while they're trying to change reality into what they need it to be for their religious belief. And that's all that's going on.
My favourite in your most recent video is, of course, horizontals bending around a sphere because Earth's a ball.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah. In your mind, horizontal must curve because you're on a ball. Therefore, it must be that way. No, you're not on a ball. You just can't accept that. So you'll violate this elementary principle to make it not work anymore. How are you going to describe that deviation from horizontal without the base principle of horizontal having no point higher or lower than the other? You can't even describe a curve without that. These people are idiots.
Then the zealots. It's crazy. I'm looking at the comments. It's insane.
Yeah, we're surrounded by zealots, and it's becoming more and more obvious in the year 2000 and 20s. It's more and more obvious the zealotry that we have to deal with on a daily basis, because it is just zealotry now. How many flat spots are on a disco ball Earth, says Misfit FB 850 from the Super Chat. Thank you very much indeed for the Super Chat.
But, that's what when I was speaking about the pitch data with Kiwi, we're both of the same opinion that it's going to cause, and it's already after doing it, causing our opposition to try to bend reality in such a way that the average person on the street could never adhere to. Right? The person who just thinks it's a globe, if they read that, they go, these people are crazy, not realizing that these people are the spearhead of what you believe in, if you're that person.
Not quite. Don't mistake anti-flat earthism for being the spearhead, as you put it, of globism. It isn't. Half the rhetoric that they come out with defies their globe earth principles in the first instance. So you can't say they're spearheading their globe faith. They're not. They've fallen down the hill. They've found themselves in a reality that they don't like, and now will brace against anything that we say, literally anything, even if it defies their own globe faith in the first instance, to try and reaffirm the bull belief that they've lost after falling down the metaphorical hill of flat Earth. Doesn't matter that they say they still believe it's a globe. That's all they have, belief. But their belief requires them to defy reality at this point.
Yeah, but it is driving them crazy because on that new Discord server, the Globe Gangsters, that's all they're talking about, is Earth measured flat.
It is measured flat. Not measured flat, but it's measured to be a horizontal plane with topography above and below that horizontal plane. So the only way you can describe it is flat, right? But the point being is that even if you're saying, Nathan, that anti-flat earthers are saying that, but it doesn't apply to the everyday person, I'm afraid it does. Because the everyday person, right, how are they going to explain horizontal on the globe they believe they live on? What are they going to come up with? Because they're going to have to go in the same direction as these people, right? The opposition, these anti-flat earthers are going in. Otherwise, they're going to have to say it's not a globe.
They've not fallen down the hill. They're not being presented with such questions, is my point. They're not going to be in a position to have to... Go on.
This is where Bev was going with some years ago. And if Bev had kept on going in the direction he was going, he would have been a much bigger success. Because Bev was going down the direction of level is horizontal. Horizontal is level. That's it. And if level is horizontal, the Earth can't be a globe. It was that simple with Bev. Now, he's after going down other directions and making other ridiculous arguments since then. But the point being is that his original premise is unbeatable, right? And that's where horizontal came from. people talking to Bev and them start calling it horizontal because that's what they were trying to claim. That horizontal goes around the
No,
goes around the curve.
no, not curvezontal, bendizontal.
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 But there's been two. There's curvezontal and bendizontal. You know what I mean? There's two because they want horizontal to be straight and be bendy at the same time.
Yeah, as
Or also straight.
As refracted curvature said, that you guys need a flat Earth more than we do.
Yeah, they need it.
It's not only that when they. Sorry, Brian.
No, say one day. I'm finished.
No, so I was just saying, but Nathan, it's not only that you let them try and explain curvature, and you're faced with them explaining flat Earth measurements. And this Nathan did it on the show last week in politics. I do it with them. You'll just say, "Go on, then tell us how it's measured." And before you know it, they're talking about the elevation angle. They're talking about level, parallel, plumb, all the words I've got down. They'll be mentioning them. They don't mention anything about curvature. And it's just, I love it when they do that.
When Nathan asks them for oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm done, Neil.
Go ahead,
I was going to say, I love when you tell them, all right, give me the messages of the ball then. And then they're either silent or, like one deck says, they start using flat Earth measurements.
Yeah. The thing that gave me the confidence to do that was refracted curvature. You guys need a ball Earth more than we do in his exasperation while he's trying to get them to give him some globe measurements, and they keep giving him flat Earth measurements. So, like I say, in his exasperation, he's like, you guys need a flat Earth more than we do. Yeah, because all their globe Earth claims, when they start with measurements, they're measuring a flat Earth to do it. There's no exceptions to that. That's why it seems easy, right, when you see me taking apart ball believers, because if they know what they're talking about, they're going to appeal to the actual measurements of Earth. Aren't they? What else are they going to appeal to?
Yeah.
Non-existent measurements that they don't have? The extrapolations of Earth curve maths, debunked in 2020 by the Black Swan. What can they appeal to? If you're going to talk about Earth being measured, you're just going to talk about Earth being measured, and it's measured flat. So that's what they do every single time. They need a flat Earth more than we do.
Well, the thing about it is, the question I asked them in a video some while back was, is level 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional? Now, a lot of them are coming in trying to say level is 2-dimensional, but the surface of a sphere is 3-dimensional. I said, level is, right, technically you can say it's the surface of a sphere, like a pool ball, let's say, appears to be 2-dimensional, as there doesn't appear to be any undulations on it. Like with Neil deGrasse Tyson saying, regardless of what mountains are there, you can, if this beach ball was the Earth, you'd rub your hand over it and it would feel smooth, because smooth is touch sensitive, right? But the thing about it is, let's say we take it that basically, as a basic, the surface of a sphere is 2-dimensional. The point being is that any 2 points on that sphere will always have a drop value between one and each other. Now, a drop would be a drop in elevation from a straight line. What will be a tangent? But that means one of those points is lower in elevation to the other at all times. They're both lower or higher in elevation to the other at all times, depending on your position if you were to stand on a sphere. So the point being is that for them, level what they're claiming is 3 dimensions. They're claiming level is 3-dimensional, whereas level can't be 3-dimensional, it can only be 2-dimensional. That's the whole purpose of it.
And
you can't refer
one addition.
Yeah, go on.
When you get to pointing that out, they then say, no, it's a single dimension, it's a single point. 1-dimensional.
Yeah, they try to make it into 1-dimensional. That's the problem. And this is something as well. I remember pointing out to him, I think in the comments of that. I'm glad you said that, Nathan, because it's either they have to claim it's 3 dimensions or 1 dimension. They can't say it's 2 because it's over for them. Because 1 dimension is a single point. 3 dimensions is 3 points, and 2 dimensions is only 2. Go on, Wundeck.
I'm just saying I'll have to try and dig it out again, and we have mentioned it before. I found it like a multiple choice question for 3rd grade or something, and it does say tick what level is, and it's got a few pictures on it. One's a circle, one's like a wavy line, one's a dot, and one's a straight line. So I'll just send them that now. So just tick which one level is. It's 3rd grade exam.
Can you dig that out?
Simple. Yeah.
Be good to put that on screen.
I'll try and find it. I did have it.
Yeah, if we can, we'll stick it up on screen.
I actually got a message. The first comment I got on my video this morning was somebody came in. I never came across this person before that I remember. They came in and said, "Yeah, it's flat. No shit, Sherlock." And I think they were referring to level. It's like it sounded like someone who was possibly a globe believer who's thinking, "Why is this idiot making a video about what level is?" Everyone knows that what level is. But I reckon that this person is not thinking about it from the point of view of a globe. They're not thinking, hang on a minute, level can't be flat and horizontal and still be level and the earth be a globe. Because those two things they can't gel, they can't coexist. Level being two-dimensional and a globe earth can't coexist. It's impossible.
Well, the other day, that's when they start saying, no, Earth is so big. If you was to stand on it, there's going to be two level parts on it because it's so big.
Yeah. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. We're measuring the surface flat. And then if they ever get to the actual measurements of Earth, they'll have to concede that. And then just justify with apologies why it's not being measured globe-shaped or how you can consider a flat surface to be globe-shaped. And then transpose that flat Earth measurement into hell so you can make it actually functional.
Well, you remember that guy I was saying on OME TV that was saying, if you zoom in, it's flat. Remember that fella, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Charles Globe Earth Math was pushing that rubbish. There, 1 second.
The guy who's talking about is... oh, go on. I thought you were disappearing for longer.
No, sorry. I just had to go on mute for a second. Charles Globe Earth Math was pushing that nonsense on one of Bev's streams there last year at some point. And he was saying two things. One that a zenith angle, which would be an angle off of the vertical, doesn't require horizontal. So that was the first thing I nailed him on in the video I make as a response to it. Like the zenith requires 90 degrees. That means it requires horizontal, right? Just like it requires the vertical, right? So that was a complete lie he was saying, right? The second thing he said is that when you zoom in on GeoGebra or on GeoGebra or CAD or any of these, you can use the surface of the sphere for an angle. When you zoom in, you will get a little flat area. And I zoomed in and showed in GeoGebra, right, that is impossible. And I also showed what's his name's video with CAD, where he showed line is not, or curved line or something is not an angle. Or remember, what's his name? Rob's video.
Durham.
Rob Durham. Parks was nearly coming into my head. Rob Durham. I showed his video where on CAD and on GeoGebra, there is no flat surfaces that you can use for an angle on a sphere, because flat surfaces on a sphere are contradictory to the existence of the sphere. Charles, you lawyer. But this is the rubbish that this guy, Charles Globe Earth Math, was pushing out to the audience. It's like, are you for real? And one of the questions I asked him, I said, when he came in commenting on the video, I said, so Charles, do you, or have you in the past taught these things to your students? He wouldn't answer. Because he knows.
He knows when he's lying. Yeah. Charles Flat Earth Math's a full-blown liar. And he knows it.
Absolutely.
All he'll do is smirk at you when you call him out on it.
Absolutely. He couldn't say yes. He has taught them things to the young people he teaches, because he knows that would mean that would be in trouble.
Stop.
What?
If you continue along this line, right, I'm already exhausted from pissing around with this computer all weekend till 4 in the morning. Let's not carry on this vein, because I can already feel my blood starting to boil because you're talking about teachers. Oops.
Okay.
Did my line go a bit weird then?
Yeah, your line was shaking.
Yeah.
Things aren't looking good for this computer. Things are starting to go weird. Right, let's get into a video.
Perfect now, though.
I don't want to talk about teachers teaching kids lies.
I won't.
It's just, if we go down this line, I can just feel myself losing my temper on this live stream. So now I'm relatively calm. Anyway, Okay, right. Let's just play the clip of what Brian was talking about. So I released this about a week ago, and yesterday I released the full version, which is about 40 minutes long, so the full discussion. This is only a couple of minutes long, so we might as well just get into this so you can hear what Brian's talking about. Be sure to like, follow, share, subscribe on whatever platform you are watching this on. The only reason you're doing this is so you can justify measuring Earth flat, by the way.
Right, wait there. See your face? Look how flat that is. Right? That is what Earth looks like from when you're on it. It looks flat, doesn't it?
So okay, so you're saying because it looks flat, but we're not looking at it, we're measuring it with angles, aren't we?
Yeah. So
we're measuring Earth flat.
But we're measuring it with flat angles, yeah. Even if you measure with flat angles, which is the best way to do it, you can, because it's flat enough. Because you're so small on the Earth, it's flat enough. You can.
Said we measure it flat.
I haven't finished my point. Even though, right, it's flat for there, I have to measure it flat because it's tiny. Because I'm so small, it looks flat to me. But it looks flat. I measure it flat. It doesn't change the fact that it's a circle. So if the shadow is about like this angle, right?
Off a flat Earth.
No, wait, let me finish. On this hypothetical, if the Earth was round, right?
No, it wouldn't be an angle anymore.
Let's go back.
If one of the lines is curved, it's not an angle. Angles are two straight lines.
We got a straight line. So we're a little tiny person on you, and the Earth looks like this. It looks straight.
I just need to summarize so I can follow along. So you're saying we're zoomed right in and we're measuring Earth flat because we're really close up and we're measuring angles off a flat plane. So we are measuring Earth flat, but that's only because you believe it's a really big ball. That's why we're measuring it flat, correct?
No, right. We're measuring it flat because it's the easiest way to measure stuff.
So we're measuring Earth flat. That'll do. Okay, right. Should we cover the other video? So we were going to cover this on. Oh, go on, Brian.
I was just going to say, well, when are they measuring it to be a globe?
Never.
That's the
Never.
Yeah, but that's the question, isn't it? Like all these people are going, well, we do measure flat. So when are you measuring it to be a globe? Where are those measurements? Nothing.
Well, they're on screen. They're calculations, not measurements, and you need flat surface level and eye level parallel with surface level, derivable from the surface level we use for reference, which is sea level, to give you your height of eye. And then from that point, you can remove all aspects of perspective, put it in an orthographic view, and claim that the derivation, that's dip, from surface level when calculated with parallel eye level, will give you a geometric sphere edge horizon below the surface level, marked in this diagram as horizon. That's where Earth curve is claimed to exist. It only exists in the maths, derived from flat surface level, which you will measure.
Just saying, you can ask them what instrument or tool did you use to measure curvature? Say, well, I used a C-section or a theodolite. I say, well, they're angle measuring tools, mate. You won't be using them.
Yeah, they need a flat Earth more than we do.
You won't be using them on a ball, that's for sure.
Technically, it wasn't on your screen, Nathan, because you stated it was calculations on your screen. So the measurements weren't on your screen. The calculations weren't open.
I feel I made it explicitly clear that the measurements were flat and that the extrapolations and calculations put a geometric sphere edge below the surface level that's measured flat. It was on screen marked as surface level, and parallel eye level was also diagrammatically represented because it's required in the measurements of a flat Earth to derive a point below the flat surface level that you use to measure, called the horizon in the orthographic diagram. I made it explicitly clear. Earth's measured flat to claim you've got a Earth curve below surface level.
Yeah, but I asked, where are the measurements for the globe? I
already said they don't exist.
You said they're on screen.
No, I first said they don't exist, and so did Neil.
Yeah, but I was trying to forget it.
I said the calculations are on screen. You should listen back. I was careful in my phrasing.
You said they're on screen. Then you changed it to calculations when you realised they weren't on screen.
Okay, maybe it wasn't because I didn't realise. I already preemptively decided they were going to be referenced to the flat Earth measurements in the diagram. But there we go. If you're going to decide that I just had missed that trick, I didn't miss it 3 years ago. I'm not going to miss it today. But you can have that belief. Anyway, we're going to cover this video. We were going to cover it on Friday. We just didn't get around to it because it was such a good discussion. Called Debunking Flat Earth Theory. He's already in a category error when he calls it a theory. Meanwhile, it's not a particularly big YouTuber, so more than ever, because I would like the same support if I was this guy's size, when I was this guy's size. Please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment that won't immediately get scrubbed by the YouTube algorithm or the videographer themselves. So don't be swearing at them, even if we do respond badly in their viewpoint to this video. But just let him know that we've responded to his video, hopefully with a polite comment. And yeah, I'm sure he'd appreciate the YouTube algorithmic love going in his direction or her direction. I'm not sure which this videographer is, male or female. Let them know that Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment. And hopefully he'd return the YouTube algorithmic love by doing the same for me if he was to make a response to what we critique here today. Or praise, if indeed we agree with him. You never know your luck. So, hopefully, have I put it on screen? Yes, I have. You can see it whizzing its way by in the YouTube live stream chat. Go and let him know, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Hopefully that's me buying enough time by repetition for a few of you actually in the live stream to actually go along and do this, rather than just listening to me say it over and over again and thinking someone else will go along. But there are almost, I was going to say almost 100, there's 82 people watching, it just flicked down. But yeah, please toddle along and let the smaller videographer know. Isaias Hermandez, that Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Also shout out to Goldie for gifting a membership. Shout out to Robert Hunt, who was gifted it. Really appreciate the support, Goldie. Thank you very much indeed. Go on, someone open their mic.
I said, what? I'm in there and I said, let's go, buyers. I'm ready. Neil needs a membership.
Okay. Let's get on with this video. Please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Hopefully you've done that if you're in the live stream.
Why exactly do people think Earth is flat?
Think could be easily substituted with believe. Why do we think it? Because it's how it's measured. So it's not that we think it, we know it. I very rarely think about it, actually, because I don't need to. It's not something that dwells on my conscience regularly. Anybody here in the panel or Discord server worry about the fact that Earth is flat?
Nope.
You're not going to get told off if you do concern yourself with it. Angels, I was expecting you to pipe up. You're worried about bleeding converting people. No response. Nobody's going to admit it. Stereotyping fallacy. Not true.
Flat earthers have probably existed for
Going to be another stereotyping fallacy.
thousands of years, but less of them exist now thanks to, well, science. Disclaimer, Earth.
You haven't got a clue what science is, do you? How can the existence of flat earthers, that people either who believe or understand as we understand Earth is measured flat, how can you suggest that science, something that establishes or elucidates the cause of natural phenomena, can have any bearing on those that believe or know Earth is flat? It doesn't. It's completely non sequitur and another category error. Science elucidates cause and effect based on natural phenomena. How many flat earthers has no bearing on that? You're an idiot. Second time you've done it. 12 seconds into the video, he's used 2 misappropriations of the word science and theory, so strictly 3. 12 seconds. Go ahead, Brian.
Apologies, Nathan. I thought you were stopped. You know what I hear when I hear that term? When they say, now that we have science, right, that actually, they're actually not putting in the words that's actually honest, even with themselves. It's now that we have a global belief, then flat earth, blah, 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 blah. That's what it actually is. They've taken out those 2 words, global belief, and put in science instead of them, when science has nothing to do with it.
Check out Neil in the chat. You're on the panel, Neil. You're here while we produce these shows. Says he's in the chat with his spanner. I'm ready. Are you, Neil? You ready for your free membership, are you?
I'm waiting.
All right, well, that's good to know. You're a panel member. Man, you're like... Have a word.
Hold on a second. You don't understand the excitement it is to just get it. I'm telling you, you got to type in right after it's purchased, and then you get it.
Okay. Yeah, it's just in poor taste. That's all. You obviously don't get it. I'm not going to reiterate it. Fine, whatever.
It's not in poor taste. They know it's a game to me.
It's one step up from Arwin e-begging in my chat.
No, that's ridiculous. Armin was he begging for money
Knew
like
that,
a
didn't
moron
I?
on your street corner.
Okay. I'm just telling you, it's in poor taste. You won't have it. Right, let's get on with it.
Earth is round, but it's worth it to explore where this can.
By baseless assertion, followed by a misunderstanding of the terminology used for a globe Earth. Round and flat are not mutually exclusive. You can be round and flat like a penny. So when you say Earth is round, okay, well, it doesn't exclude how it's measured, flat. But your proposition, by way of belief, is that it's spherical. So try and be more specific with your language, young man.
Conspiracy theory originates and why something like this can become.
Why is he in what looks like a vest with a sports coat? What's that all about? He's got like a t-shirt that's got a stretched neck with a sports coat on top of it. What's going on? Does he not understand how you get dressed? A shirt, maybe a tie.
Real to so many people. My name is Isaias Hermandez, and this is Queer Brown Vegan. My platform is to bring you
This is what? Queer brown vegan? Is that what he just said?
environmental education that's focusing on the intersectional.
I don't get it. I don't feel the need to introduce my video. Hi, welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm heterosexual meat-eating Nathan. What the hell? I don't get it. Why does that declaration need to be there?
Issues rather than ignore them. If you like what you see here, be sure to like.
Yeah, queer, brown, vegan. Okay. You like your nuts. Good for you.
Comment and subscribe because it helps me grow my channel and bring you more educational content. There's a long history, centuries ago, before scientific advancements and
So what do you mean before scientific advancements? You mean what? Establishment of cause and effect based on naturally occurring phenomena that's advanced humanity? Before that?
documented global exploration, it was
Really? Global exploration? Now, I'm pretty sure that all of the navigation on the surface of Earth was done flat, with angle measurements to the stars, so we could find our way home and expand the territories as was done. That wasn't done with global references, my friend. You should really look into how we actually navigated and expanded the known territories. We did it all flat.
sort of mainstream to believe that the Earth was flat.
Like mainstream to believe it's flat. We are navigating Earth flat. You think we're using global references.
People had limited knowledge and observation.
You have limited knowledge. Don't project. Your limited knowledge has led you to make a baseless assertion that we did navigation spherically. Absolutely not. We didn't use Cartesian grids spherically.
And couldn't use things like Google Maps.
Flat. This is called it Cartesian grid. Much two-dimensional flat representation of a map. Man, you have no idea what you're babbling about, do you? Google Earth's based on a Mercator projection. That's a flat grid based on latitude and longitude measured with angles to the star Polaris for the grid in the north. That is how you form a celestial sphere with antipodal flat planes measured flat with the stars to form something called the celestial sphere. You can then project those points from the center through a radial value sphere at 3959 miles and then call that a globe. But it's not very useful if you're going to map the territory with angle requirements. So you then have to project that globe onto a cylinder and then cut it down the middle and roll it out flat, producing a flat square grid in place of circles of equal elevation. That is known as the Mercator projection and is the basis of Google Earth and navigation systems the world over. They are flat. They're used with areas of equal elevation. Their functionality is flat. The measurements that go with them are flat. Earth is flat. Yet you think you can talk about globe Earth references by baseless assertion and then go to Google Earth and show her what this software produces something global? No, draw an elevation profile of it. You obviously haven't even used the software to draw out and show how globe-shaped it is by way of measurements in this software. Because you can. It's called an elevation profile. it too will show how high or low the ground is with respect to a flat plane of reference. Earth is measured flat in this app.
And these ancient perspectives were based...
Ancient perspectives? What ancient perspectives? You just had an app upon a bloody phone. Ancient perspectives on a smartphone?
on what people could perceive with their eyes, and thus flat Earth was unofficially created.
So what, based on what people saw and didn't put practical application to? No. I can overcome that by pointing out how we navigated the surface and expanded the territories. I've already done it twice. This is crap. Why would anyone believe what to put in their body? Any type of nuts that go into your sodding body have no relevance, because they're discredited by this crap, where you utilise the word of science to claim that what people saw was the basis of their belief in a flat plane that they're measuring and navigating. You're a clown.
Some people just still hold on to this. And if you imagine people seeing the horizon, that it...
What, horizontal? Utilised to establish planes of references in navigation? What about it, son?
looks flat, or feeling that the Earth
looks flat, or is utilised as a horizontal plane of reference. Utilised to level tools, for example, that are useful in navigation. Oh, that's what it's actually used for in practical application. Meanwhile, you can describe it, if you measure Earth flat, as being a point below the surface level you call Earth curve. But by perception, it just kind of looks flat. No, it's a geometric axiom that we'll be utilising when we measure Earth with this point in the distance. Earth is measured flat with this point. Oh, well, that would be a straight line across the centre of this screen. Yeah, it's very useful that it holds that geometric principle. Hey, chocolate.
Morning, guys.
doesn't seem to move, which is because of gravity. That
What, the horizon doesn't move because of gravity? This guy's just babbling off buzzwords, isn't he? Maybe I should be a bit less harsh on him.
He's not saying anything, is he?
Well, he's obviously mentally
He's
retarded.
not saying a thing, is he?
It's just stupid.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
He's saying the horizon seems flat because of gravity. I mean, you're just retarded at this point.
makes it seem like Earth is flat. You also have a general rise in conspiracy theories and skepticism in...
Sorry, what skepticism are you referring to, pray tell, when I talk about measurements of Earth? No.
In today's age of widespread information, there's a growing skepticism towards...
You think you'd have a look at some of it, like elevation profiles in Google Earth? Like the measurements of Earth that they freely give you if you want to look at them? You haven't even done that. You scratched the surface and zoomed in on an app and went, oh, globe-shaped. No, it's on a flat screen with flat grid references. So, no, definitely not. Maybe if you'd have looked into the measurements on the app, you wouldn't be making these baseless assertions about conspiracy theories that we hold. No, it's just that it's measured, mate. Earth's measured flat. All your examples thus far have shown such.
Established scientific principles.
You don't know what science is. Why are you talking about this?
People can seek out and listen to independent voices that can win in popularity contests.
Well, that's consensus then, not science.
Regardless of sources, it is...
But that's consensus then, dickhead. You're an idiot. You haven't got a clue what science is. You've just talked about consensus.
Especially comes when people have these big personalities. Some people broadly reject scientific consensus and...
Sorry, scientific consensus, that's an oxymoron. There is no consensus in science. Science is empirical. The reason it's empirical is it has a methodology attached to it called, shockingly, the scientific method. The method is as follows. Just so I can educate this idiot, he keeps appealing to oxymoronic scientific consensus. Agreement doesn't give you empiricism, son. And it certainly isn't science or the scientific method. The scientific method is as follows. Step 1, observe natural phenomena. Step 2, formulate a scientific prediction, otherwise known as a hypothesis, in which you will have a presumed cause of the phenomena you observed. Formulation will also include a presumption of a null, that is a zero difference result outcome. The supposition will be your independent variable supposition of cause, A, will cause the natural phenomena you observed at step 1, B. So if A, then B is the suppositional hypothesis statement, with a null alongside. If A, not B. Zero difference outcome. Only one will be validated, because only one can be validated without violating the law of non-contradiction upon experimentation. That's actualization of hypothesis, in which you will vary and manipulate that which you assume caused the phenomena you observed at step 1 to see if it does or does not cause the phenomena. If it does, you validate your alternative hypothesis, A causes B, automatically discounting the zero difference result. A cannot both cause B and not cause B, so you rule out the null hypothesis. Alternatively, if you do not cause the effect you studied at step 1, you validate your zero difference result prediction. If A, not B. Tick, proven. So in all instances upon actualization of hypothesis, that's experimentation, you will prove something. Hence, empirical by method. This clown thinks that whether or not people agree has anything to do with the empiricism offered by the scientific method. Now, there is a term used when people incorrectly ascribe the word science to that which has not been through the scientific method. The term is pseudoscience, a category this oxymoronic scientific consensus would absolutely sit in, because it will not and cannot adhere to the method. Agreement of men is what gives you your bull belief, based on flat earth measurements. Learn what science is. Share the show. 105 people watching as you all are educated on what science and the scientific method is, instead of nut gobbler.
And instead of gravitate towards conspiracy theories, believing that the information from the governments and scientific institutions is manipulated or false. There's a general distrust in authority figures and experts, leading some to reject scientific evidence about
You're on mute, Nathan.
Sorry? Say again?
You were on mute there.
Can't hear anything.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. I've got a slight issue, computer issue, and it's causing the mute button to randomly come on. I don't know why. It did it earlier and was coming on and off and on and off and on and off while I was talking. Anyway, that aside, I think just maybe a restart. I'll tell myself. Anyway, let me just get my point out. I was just about to
guy.
Go on.
Sorry.
Go on.
Just saying, he keeps going on about this scientific this and so I'm looking forward to his explanation. He's not giving an explanation or demonstrated this scientific evidence of a globe, which is nothing to do with science. But I wish he'd try and explain that. I'm very interested to hear how he comes out with that term that he's trying to explain.
Well, he can't. It's pseudoscience. It's in a category error. You can't validate a shape through the scientific method, right? You elucidate the cause of natural phenomena. Phenomena is something occurring. He's saying science validated around Earth. No, science doesn't validate shape. He's an idiot. He doesn't understand what science is. Someone else wanting to get a word in? Was it you, Brian? 115 people watching. Please share the show. Clearly not.
about around Earth. Sometimes information does get manipulated, but one thing to look for is peer review.
No. What you would look for if you were going through something claiming to be science was whether or not they actualized a hypothesis or not. That's all you'd look at, because that's what science is. Anything that falls outside that category is pseudoscience, by definition. A claim of science that has not been through the scientific method, that's pseudoscience.
Now, there's also a community and identity that comes with this belief.
No, you're projecting. You have an identity based on your belief in a globe Earth that was derived from flat Earth measurements. You believe that science has validated it after misappropriating this terminology and ascribing it to consensus.
Something that resonates with all humans.
Resonation with humans? Okay, what, how much I shake and rattle? No, mate, I've got measurements of Earth to prove it's flat.
Around shared beliefs. The flat Earth...
No, definitely no belief. Hands up on the panel. We are surrounded by flat earthers currently. Who holds a belief in flat Earth? Speak now. None of us believe it's flat. We all know balls to bones it's flat because that's how it's measured.
belief has formed into this, offering a sense of belonging and shared identity. Within these communities, there's a reinforcement of
Yet more projection. So you openly declare your homosexuality and ball eating, nut eating at the beginning of your video. Yet you're going to accuse me of needing a community when I know how Earth's measured. I built a YouTube community. I have no necessity for it based on my flat Earth belief. Yet you need to find your comfort zone with your vegans and homosexuals, though, don't you? You're just projecting.
beliefs, making it challenging for people to accept evidence that would disrupt that. Social media has brought this to another level by providing platforms for diverse viewpoints, regardless if it's factual or not.
Really? That's interesting you should say that, because I'm heavily suppressed. Anything that vaguely alludes to something that sounds even remotely like the words Nathan Oakley will come up on a search if you search for me. And me, I'll be at the bottom of the list of that search. Why? Well, because I talk about measurements of Earth and how it's flat, how the globe Earth requires those measurements. Suppress him immediately! But yet in your deluded mind, seeing comments that say there are Flat Earth Society members all over the globe, that's us, being prevalent on social media? That's anti-Flat Earth being prevalent on social media, you utter clown. Our opposers are the ones that you're putting up on screen. People being sarcastic and inserting their globe faith whilst demeaning the Flat Earth believers. That's not us. Yeah, you might see some of the clown shoes Flat Earth believers punted to the top of the lists because they make us, the people who know how Earth's measured, look incredibly stupid. Very useful. Maybe we'll censor them to Antarctica, make us look even more stupid. Maybe we'll make a Netflix special with some of them and make Flat Earthers look incredibly stupid.
This is sometimes leads to the spread of misinformation and the amplification of fringe beliefs, including the flat earth theories. Is it the most problematic perspective in the world? No, I don't think so, but the problem could be the deeper distrust that it brings out.
Sorry, what distrust would that be? I mean, my trust level for NASA is 0 because I know they're liars. That's about it. Everyone else, I mean, fair game. If you want to tell me that Earth's a ball by way of your belief, everyone's entitled to that. Just because people around me, in the majority, hold the same belief about being on a ball in a sky vacuum, in violation of entropic law and the measurements that originated that claim, then fine, you're entitled to your belief. I suddenly don't distrust you. Trust has nothing to do with it. I can just say when you are wrong. And why? That's it. Now, does that mean I'm going to distrust you? Generally speaking, yeah, if you've been wrong repeatedly, as you have been, then yeah, I'm going to point out that anybody who wants to pay attention to your veganism activism or your homosexuality activism should ignore it because you're proven untrustworthy based on your lack of research and comprehension of things like science. Why would I trust you on anything else if this is the level of your research? Go ahead, Brian.
Sorry, Nathan. I actually did think again that you were finished. Well, what we have is we don't just have refracted blockage now. Now we have scientific curvature, right? Scientific geometry. That's what these people are claiming as science. And he said earlier, I couldn't come in at the time, I'm sorry. He said earlier, there's a bit of manipulation goes on. Yeah, there is, of the actual measurement of Earth, right? And how that's presented to the public. Because it's not presented it's not presented showing the public exactly how it's measured. It's measured and then the public are shown a globe. Right? That's a bit of manipulation. Yeah, and another thing he said, it's not the biggest problem in the world. Oh yes, it is for you, not for me, and for all the people like you. You just don't know it yet. Thanks.
Believe it, Neil's being really badly behaved. You're spamming my chat, Neil. You're a moderator. Can you knock it off? And what's wrong with Neil today? He's testing my patience, so I can tell you that. He's literally spamming the chat. Anyway. I'll keep half an eye on the chat because one of the moderators is spamming it.
Ask him.
Now he's rumpusing me. Go ahead, Neil.
And when this guy's saying in distress,
if I'm ready, And I said yes. So that's all. But I won't no more. I'll leave the freaking chat.
You're a moderator. You're spamming individual letters to fill the chat with spam. Anyway, we'll discuss this in the after show. What the hell?
Scientists have told us for decades about the risks of climate change, especially now, and it's an extra challenge when you have a public that distrusts them. As environmental and social issues continue happening, our ability to solve these issues relies on good information. For people to identify with fringe sources, it's not always grounded in reality with other people. And if you know a flat earther, talk to them about what they think, but don't get too carried away with them because they can talk a lot. We have a duty as climate media creatives, scientists,
Sorry, it's like, they can talk a lot. Yeah, we absolutely can, especially to a fundy idiot like you. Go on, Chocolate.
No, I'm sorry, man. I was just gonna say, yeah, all day.
Yeah, all day. Yeah, we can talk all day to you about your stupidity. With his climate change, what was it? Environmental and social issues. Why did he have to add in social and social? Environmental and social. Like, what's the social issue you're worried about? Is it your gay agenda, or by any chance?
No, it's his nut-eating agenda.
Yeah, his gay agenda. That's what he's really, because he really doesn't actually care about the facts. He just wants some way to crowbar in his agenda.
I mean, not that his agenda is really that offensive. Eating nuts, who cares?
advocates to be able to really push back against misinformation. I mean, it was recently found here on YouTube that YouTube...
Yeah, he's definitely just putting his agenda. Push back. Come on.
YouTube is pushing climate denialism videos. And if you Google flat earth theory, you'll find tons of conspiracy videos, typically by older white men, or also different people.
Older white men? As a black man, I feel extremely offended.
Well, technically, he's been kind of racist there in some ways, but I don't care about his nonsense.
You know,
if this guy or anyone else wants to challenge me on that topic, because I know that they don't know anything about the topic they're claiming is a real thing, right? I can take them apart in no time.
Do we class the Irish as white? Are you strictly speaking? Do we still consider you white? Are you one of us?
Well, I don't know. How would a black person describe me?
Yeah, but you're Irish.
Right. That doesn't mean that my skin is not Caucasian.
I don't necessarily want to share much of my white privilege with you, Brian. You're Irish.
Well, there is some book came out years ago about how the Irish became white. It was something to do with how we got a hold of some of the privilege of being white in America by becoming firemen and police and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, that's a completely separate issue.
No. I'm very interested. If you've earned your whiteness, I'm quite keen to hear about that.
I don't care. I don't care at all about it.
Neither do I. I'm just making a mockery. I'm just mocking the videographer. This is us mocking him. I'm not actually in this character, Brian.
Talking about these beliefs, I mean, there's also, I believe, a flat earth conference that is hosted here in the United States for flat earthers, and there's a lot of videos of people who have gone to those conferences just to document what happens, and it's very scary to see the amount of people. I mean, like, if you look from the flat earth...
Why is it scary? You went to a ghost hunter convention and it had 10,000 people there. Would you go, oh, it's really scary, how many people think there's ghosts? I'd be like, yeah, there's a lot of nutters about. So what?
Theory to even the hollow earth theory, that's something that's another topic to talk about.
It's not a theory. You're in a category error.
Theory.
Yep.
Will you stop with your theory, right? He doesn't know what, because the only theory he knows is colloquial theory. He doesn't know scientific theory. He doesn't know what category he's in.
Exactly, he's in a category
just one of these happy-go-lucky guys who just makes videos without any research and thinks, you don't need to research this. It's pretty evident what it is, because I heard what it was going to be and what it is from other people like me who didn't research and learn anything. Here's a video.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in the 80s and 90s, them moaning about how the public were being quote-unquote dumbed down by TV, and how the people who made the scheduling were intentionally putting stuff on that made people more stupid. Now here we are with it algorithmically fine-tuned to the point where it's self-perpetuating stupidity. So like you just described, this guy goes on, searches Flat Earth, and what does he find? Well, he's going to find predominant comments that say things like there are flat earthers all over the globe, and Simon Dan telling him that we're idiots, and that it's self-evident based on baseless assertion that, well, obviously it's a globe because it's a globe, because it's a globe. And he goes, oh, yeah, this is a really easy subject to cover. And then he perpetuates the same stupid baseless assertions and nonsense that he's gleaned from a surface-level YouTube search. So YouTube's algorithm is literally doing what TV was criticised for in the 80s and 90s. It's dumbing everybody down.
Even better than it used to.
Yeah,
actually.
That's what I said.
TV.
Algorithmically enhanced to dumb people down these days.
Because people like him, what's the first thing he come out with? Or not maybe often the first thing, or it's very close to the first thing. He come out and say, we know the earth is round. Now, straight away, he doesn't understand the difference between spherical, three-dimensional shape, and round, two-dimensional flat. So straight away, he doesn't understand the geometry of what he just said. And he comes out saying, we know. To say that means, okay, how do you know? It's not the question that what's his name? George Orwell used to ask people. He used to go out on the streets in London and ask people. Way back. He's like, what's the world? It's a globe. How do you know? No one can give him an answer. You can't know it's a globe.
Like most of these globes, he's like most of them, O'Brien. He's not even mentioned measurement once.
No, he's talked about scientific consensus.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
He's on speaking about flat earthers. He saw it's all about flat earthers. It's nothing about any argument.
I think it is important to know that while these beliefs back then in 2000 may have seemed harmless and they're made fun of in other popular sitcom TV shows or even in animated shows with Netflix, it's important to understand that climate education today is being threatened. Obviously, we've seen with Florida banning certain types of climate education and providing models from PragerU Foundation around, comparing climate change activists to Nazis, or saying that solar.
This is completely non sequitur, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's a little agenda he's worried about, because he thinks, you know what happens to these people? They listen to a lot of mainstream rubbish about some topic. In this instance, it's climate change, right? Which happens 4 times a year in certain parts of the world. It's happening 4 times a year here. There's a change of climate. It causes seasons, right? But he believes a lot of rubbish from the mainstream, right? He is that total guy, right? And then he's worried about all the false information that's proving all his mainstream information to be a crock of rubbish. You know what I mean? That's what he's worried about. I have all this mainstream information, and they're showing how it's wrong. They must be some kind of fringe maniacs, or you're just wrong.
Surely there can't be people who are watching him and coming away thinking, God, that was brilliant. This guy has got some serious points. I'm glad I watched that video because I know something now. That can't be happening, surely.
Yeah, what could you possibly learn from this guy's video? Go on.
That is really what is really happening. That is what is happening. That guy, it's most intelligent for more people. That is for people listening. When they listen that sentence is, oh, I knew that is not a flat at all. They will watch all that video. It's easier to get that video on YouTube than all others.
I mean, this guy represents what he's gleaned from YouTube, because he's a tiny little YouTuber, and his reaction, surface level or otherwise, to build up his channel, he's like, what can I cover that's going to hopefully garner some views? And in this case, it hasn't worked. He's gathered up a couple of hundred views in 3 weeks. But by the same token, it does demonstrate to us what people garner or garnish from the information that's out there. What I've just described as being, algorithmically dumbed down, and this is what it produces.
are just as bad. I think these are examples that we are fighting against, and I think conspiracy theories, as much as we laugh at them, there are so many people who have lost their lives, people's families who have been separated.
Right, nobody died, nobody got hurt. What are you babbling about? So many people have lost their lives? What? Excuse me? I mean, if you want to stretch, you could say Mad Mike went up in a steam rocket, which he'd have done anyway, with a flat earth sponsor on the side of it. At best. So that's one. And it's a bit of a stretch. Do you want to name a few more? Or is this spaceless assertion just going to get chucked out there?
By these types of harmful beliefs, and I think it is important that we work together to understand where that distrust is coming from, and a lot of it is the
So what distress? You just said there was loads of deaths. What are you babbling about?
Well, let me put it this way, right? If any pilot, commercial pilot, decides to account for curvature, there will be lots of deaths.
Yeah, they'd be heading to a void that doesn't exist. And met with the ground where they thought a void would be, opening up ahead of them as Earth curves away, opening refraction. Up. It doesn't.
Sorry, I'm saying it's just refraction. It's not really there. I can keep flying. Everything's going to be fine. Let's be honest. If you were a pilot and you tried to go off of what the globe claim is, you'd be flying into a solid Earth, right, or ocean, with the belief that it's not really there, that it's just some form of over 6R. Wouldn't you? Let's be real. That's what you would do. And nobody would be strapped in the plane. You wouldn't be asking anyone to strap in while you're doing this big dive down towards the Earth, because there's no need to strap in. Absolutely no need. You're just accounting for 8 inches per mile squared of drop.
Yeah, don't strap in.
Everything's going to be fine.
Gravity will sort you out. It's magic.
Yeah. Sorry for cutting you off.
Institutional failed resources that are often being provided to these people that are obviously poor. And
sorry, what? What? I mean, that's a bit too close to the bone. I mean, I am really poor. So, by just pure chance, you happen to have struck a chord with that particular one. Yeah, one of the consequences of being shoved to the bottom of the list is I am incredibly poor. However, I am so blessed that everyone around me recognises that, and recognises that I absolutely, without question, require their financial support to keep going. So I am basically funded by my audience, not by the YouTube ad revenue. Doesn't matter how much work I put into a video. Yeah? Now, you're a newbie. You'll find this out and probably give up pretty quickly. But me, 10 or 15 years into videography on YouTube, I know that they're never going to favour me in that regard. But that's not how I keep the bills paid and the lights on here. It's done by the love and support of my very, very dedicated audience. Yeah? People sending me PayPals and Patreons. That's what keeps the lights on. But why? Why is that necessary? Well, because I'm not going to receive any YouTube algorithmic love. Yeah, that makes me poor. But it's not because of a lack of education. I was educated privately. My parents were quite wealthy at the point that I was being educated. So you can't say that I'm poorly educated. No, definitely not. Meanwhile, the thing I cover is heavily suppressed, meaning that it gives me a limited means of earning revenue from the ads and such like. That's unfortunate, but is, to a degree, not stopping me from doing this. It just keeps me on a knife edge. Yeah, but that means I am poor. He's right. This is me babbling around the fact that he's right with this single point just by chance. Yeah, I'm poor. Get lost.
Don't get me wrong.
Go on.
Yeah, but flat earthers would be a lot less poor if they were favoured. Not favoured. They just have to be treated. If they were just treated fair by social media, so like YouTube. I mean, if you had double the amount of subscribers you have and double the amount of money coming in, your life would be so much better. Just with that, just by doubling that amount. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And after 10 years solid of doing YouTube videos on this specialist subject, I'd hope to be a lot larger than I am. Oh, no, I'm not going to bellyache about that fact, because I can't say this with any sort of truthful behind it because I've got no stats to back it. But I would expect that even if I was double the size, it wouldn't necessarily afford me as much as I do get from a dedicated audience who are prepared. I don't know how long ago it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. One of the viewers watched a video where about a week prior, so it was an uncut after show that was on the second channel, it had come out a week to 10 days later, I was moaning that I was heavily overdrawn, because I was. Now, they sent me several £100 just out of the blue and to clear your overdraft. And it just arrived in PayPal. I'm like, oh my God! You know, and from that day to this, it's meant that I've not spent the entire time stressing about a stupid, to most people, little overdraft. To me, it's a lot. A few £100 is very stressful. But the point is that when I told my mother about it last night, she was like, how's the show going? And I'm like, well, I gave her a few gripes. She's dealing with her husband dying, my father. So she doesn't want to know my concerns too much. But by the same token, I told her generally what's going on, but also dropped into the conversation that someone had dropped several £100 on me via PayPal. And she's like, wow, why does that happen? I'm like, that's my audience. They want to keep the lights on. And if I bellyache about being a bit poor, that will often happen. People will just drop a chunk of money on me. So I'm not really, really poor. And what other audience could you ever imagine would do that in anywhere on YouTube? I mean, there might be some examples. I'm not going to say that I'm completely unique in this. I'm sure there are other examples. But I'm just saying it's probably very rare that people go, no, I'm so enthused by this guy's subject, and recognise how small the channel is and how that is going to limit the possibilities of this guy continuing just based on what YouTube will give him. Therefore, I'll dip into my pocket. And none of the people, to my knowledge, have been millionaires or anything. They're just normal people.
I understand that, but if you had 50,000 subscribers and all of the Patreons and super chats and everything that comes with that, and when you're doing a live show, you'll have 200 people on average, 200 plus people as opposed to 100 plus people, you wouldn't need to ask for that extra few bob because you wouldn't have the issue. That would be covered.
Right. Speaking of a few extra
what I mean?
bob, right, just as we're moaning about it, so I just want to get this off my chest. I moaned in the pre-show, I'm going to moan now, I know we're live. Right, I've been doing this job, I will call it a job, it is a job, for at least, say, 5 years, full-time. That is to say, I've had an accountant, paid taxes, it's a proper job, for a very long time. Well, recently in England, some of the laws changed in terms of how my wife, who garners up this money, it's spent on classes and educational supplies for our kids, but we get a certain amount of government support, as does everybody in the UK, for having a couple of kids. Now, that became means tested, and they wanted to talk to me. This is the job centre, right? So they've been having me in, very irritating, to talk about my self-employment, because it's means tested based on what they give us for our kids. And they phoned me up because I missed an appointment on Friday, I think it was, and were telling me that I need to be made aware that after 18 months of their assessment, regardless of if I reach the minimum amount that they dictate I must be earning or not, I will be considered to be earning that amount when they means test the amount they give us for our kids. I'm like, so what you're saying is even if I don't reach the minimum, which I haven't so far, you'll still consider me making that minimum? Yep, absolutely, because you should be making that amount by now. So, I mean, all I can do to the job centre, which just makes me feel just dirty. It's like I don't need to be in the job centre. I've been unemployed at various points in my life between jobs and had to go into the job centre and claim benefits. Now, that's something that you do out of necessity, but when you're working really hard, you don't want to go in and say, yeah, okay, fine, I'm not earning enough money, according to you, so that you can means test the pittance that you give us for having a couple of kids like everyone gets. But that's the situation I'm in. The job centre moaning at me that I'm not reaching the minimums that they would expect me to reach. And I just think, I don't care. You know, I know we live on a shoestring budget and, you know, scrimp, but I still say it with a smile because I think, would I change anything? I've got my kids at home. At the moment, they're not making any noise, which is nice. But, you know, I get to spend all of my days watching them grow up. And that is the main outcome. As much as I can say, yeah, my main purpose is to do YouTube being on flat earth, which is true also. But why? That's still a job. I still want to be able to pay the bills so I can spend the time with my kids and raise them and educate them. So does my wife. She works part-time also. So we know we're going to be poor as a result of that. But it's nice that, just to get back to the main point of all this long ramble, it's nice that even with a small YouTube channel, I can still support myself even if I am having the job centre moan at me. That's only because of the people who give me cash, literally Patreons and PayPals and Coffee. That's the other one, isn't it? Coffee, Ko-Fi, whatever I call it. You know, that thank you, all of you people who support me. I wouldn't be here. It's every single month. In the pre-show, I shouted out a guy called Michael. He used to drop £50 or $50 super chats on me. But he said, you lose a percentage of your super chats. I'll give you in PayPals. And literally every single month, he drops $50 on me. Religiously. Every single month. For years now. And it makes him massive. Normally comes when I'm really poor. But I gave him an extra special shout out today. I've just been in that mood. I just feel very grateful today, you know, for what I do have, rather than bleating, which is precisely what I am doing. I do want to give out the love and say thanks to all the people who keep me on air, because it's really important. And a lot of YouTubers out there won't get that. Now, I'll just round this out by saying one last thing that I heard last week, which was that apparently Simon Dan had run a GoFundMe, which wasn't particularly successful. Now, I don't know if subsequently he's done a few more shout-outs and raise the money that he wanted for new equipment, so he can do better experiments or whatever he was claiming that he needed the equipment for. Something that I can relate to, right? I've done similar GoFundMes successfully. Now, even with hundreds of thousands of subs, Dan hasn't managed to garner that sort of support from his audience, because they're not the same audience. They're not the type of person that's going to go to his video and religiously watch Simon Dan because they're dedicated to his cause. They only get there for a bit of pain relief, or as a cursory search will lead them to him. That's it. You're not going to get dedicated audience members that are wanting to support GoFundMe campaigns. You're just going to get people who have a cursory glance at your stuff, affirm their bias, and get on with their day, believing that they're on a globe thanks to Simon Dan. Now here, totally different story. You know, I get heartfelt messages with the donations, people encouraging me to keep going, people saying that they really do appreciate what I'm doing and want to show that to me financially. Now, but for the fact that people do that, I would not be here. So I've got to express my gratitude, and I'm glad I'm doing it on a live show.
Well, what I would say is I find it funny that the job centre are giving you a hard time because you're not meeting the quota. They need to contact YouTube. You know what I mean? It's like, why am I being bothered by you, kind of thing? What do you want? You're self-employed.
Because they're giving us money.
You're in there.
Because they're giving us money.
Sorry?
Because they're giving us money. That's it.
I understand that. But I'm saying, it's like, contact YouTube then. If you have a problem with me not making the money you think I should be making. I know. It's like, who are you telling here? You know what I mean? Bloody, they're the same everywhere you go, these types of institutions, aren't they? There's no forethought goes into anything.
You know, the other thing she moaned about, right? I don't do any of this. I'm so lazy. I've got an accountant. I asked my wife to deal with all of these things with the accountant, so I have zero involvement because I just can't be bothered with it. I hate it, in fact. Anyway, one of the things I can do when you're processing tax is claim a certain amount of expenses. So I gather up all my receipts, give them to the wife. She processes them to the accountant. She processes them to the tax office. But in the meantime, my wife also has to process that to this stupid child benefit thing. So she sends all the expenses off to them. So while I'm on the phone with them on Friday, she's like, you can't claim for coffee. I'm like, what? She's like, you can't claim it. You need to go back for the last 3 months. I'm like, what? You need to go back into the portal, you need to use this code, and you need to change all of your expenses and take out all of the refreshments, because you can't claim for those. I'm like, okay, fine. It's like, when I was a rep, most of the expenses were things like that, right? So obviously there's different rules for different jobs, not that I'm aware of it, but I don't care. It's like, you just process your receipts. And now I'm being told by the job centre, who... I don't make it sound like I don't see any of this money. I see my kids going to the classes that the money pays for. So I can't say I don't see any of this money because it goes into my wife's account and gets spent on the kids. It's like, well, that's what it's for. So I say we do see this money, but it just aggrieves me greatly to sit in a job centre and justify, yeah, I'm starting to do OMI TV videos to try and generate a few more views. Yeah, I'm writing a book at the moment. Yeah, I'm all to the grindstone as much as I possibly can, trying to drum up more interest in my channel, drum up more interest via a book, drum up more interest by doing different projects that involve different audiences. and different formats of videos. I'm saying this to somebody who's not offering me like work. I'm in the job centre with a job. You're like, why am I here? This is infuriating. Anyway.
So, let me ask you a question, right? Now, you would probably say no to this because you're a negative type of a fella.
Well, thanks.
But you're welcome. At this stage, surely there must be a case, pun intended now, to be made for the treatment that, let's just say, I get off of YouTube. There must be a case, just me as an example, there must be a case to be made there. It's like, I am not being treated the same as their other employees or workers or whatever. You know, the other channels. How come all channels are not treated equal? I mean, that has to be an issue at this stage. Because it's not just Flat Out. Like, Flat Out was the original. They came down on us first, right? And they've come down on us the hardest. I don't know of any other. I've literally, Nathan, there was a girl, and she had 50 or 60,000 subscribers there recently that I was subscribed to. And she said she was going off of YouTube because she was sick of this thing and that thing and the other thing. And then kind of going, you have like 60,000 subscribers. I have 1,500 subscribers. If I had 60,000 subscribers, I wouldn't have any money problems. And you're complaining. So, and she's complaining about things not going her way on YouTube. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like we are so much at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Surely at this stage, something can be done about this.
The thing is, I remember when I was a rep dealing with really rich people, and their problems are no different to anyone else's. Just the scale of what they're purchasing is bigger and more expensive because they've got a higher income. But the idea that the rich are really rich, it's like, no, the amount of rich people I used to talk about the same woes and concerns about being broke at the end of the month and having spent it all. And you're like, yeah, but you've spent it all on the lease for your Lamborghini and your mansion. And you're like, yeah, but some people think that I've just got loads of money. And at the end of the month, it's all disappeared and then bleating. And you're like, yeah, but you get to drive the Lamborghini, don't you? But that's all that somebody who's lower down the pecking order sees. Well, you get the Lamborghini. The guy who's actually owning the Lamborghini and worrying about whether or not the job will give him that raise that to take him into a position where he isn't, you know, just all of his commitments getting covered by his $100,000 a month salary. You're like, but you got $100,000 a month salary. And their argument would be, yeah, but I still don't get to see any of it. It all disappears. You know, it's weird. You go for higher up and you think they're going to have...
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. You have to stop you there. No. I don't have any sympathy for rich guys. If you can't handle your money correctly, if you decide you need to have a Lamborghini before you can actually afford a Lamborghini and 10 Lamborghinis, then you shouldn't be in one.
I'm not suggesting I've got sympathy for him. I'm just saying...
to drive a brand new car that I can't afford.
Right, but let's say I earned double than what I did now. I'd still be earning F all. But let's say I was earning double of F all, right? Or what would change? Well, I might be able to get some of the stuff that I can't afford to get fixed. Yeah. And I might be able to afford a lease on a car. But then I'm still at zero at the end of the month, so I still moan. Does that make sense?
No, you would have savings to go on a holiday or to do this or buy that, and these little things. Let's all go out for dinner tonight, as opposed to we can't because we can't afford it. Things like that. So yeah, would you be rich if you had double the money you have? Absolutely not. But you would be able to have luxuries that you can't have now.
Yeah.
And the same, if I just double the amount of money per week that I currently have, just double it, because I know how to use money, I would be living so... I mean, my life would just change. Now, that would be no offense. Or not, I don't... What I mean is, like, double the amount of money I have wouldn't be very much money. But the point being, I'm telling everyone they're on board, but the point being is that my lifestyle would be so much better just with double that money.
See, I don't necessarily agree. I assessed it the other way once. So before we had kids...
for the Lamborghini.
No, I'm going to go the other way. No. I'm going the other way now. So at a point, just as I was going to go into YouTubing, so just before I went into part-time YouTubing, my wife and I sat down and we had a proper discussion about where financially this would lead. because I was trying to talk her into going part-time. In essence, what I was suggesting to her was, let's take a 50% pay cut, have half as much money coming into the household compared to what it was. And not only that, half as much with a very volatile 50% of that half, my half, would be very volatile and potentially fail at any point, right? And do that whilst producing children. Should we do that? And we looked at it and went, we can do this. We can be as frugal. In other words, we can cut back and cut back and cut back to the point where, no, we're not doing any of those, what you call luxuries. Yeah. You're cutting it all out as much as humanly possible so that you can have the time, right? So you become time rich. I wish that was true. I'm saying it and now I'm lying because the amount of time YouTube takes up. It's just not true at all. But in theory, you become time rich and then you get to spend more time with your kids and enjoy life, just without the means to do stuff with the time. You then have to, fill that time with things that you can find enjoyment in without spending money. Going to the park, walks, spending time with friends and family, all those sorts of things that don't cost any money, but occupy your life in a fun way. So, I don't know, you can go the other way as well.
What I heard there is, not now, Eleanor, I tried to overclock this computer, and I'm walking in the park, giving out about all the money I don't have. That's what I heard. And complaining to someone who's your friend or family member. At
the beginning of the show, I was moaning about this stupid computer that's probably had about £7,000 or £8,000 dumped into it over the course of 2 years. Anyway, first world problems for sure.
What is this? Have you lost the plot? Is this Hermandez or Dr. Phil or something?
I'm sorry.
Why don't you come back?
Schedule
Have you lost it?
Turned into The View.
No kidding. And then you Jedi mind trick the audience and they join in.
Are the audience enjoying themselves? Let me know from the chat. We should be doing a video. We're in the middle of a video. We just talked about finances because the guy said these guys are uneducated and poor. And of course, he struck a nerve with me because I am.
They're trying to get me to feel sorry for rich guys again.
No, I'm just saying people higher up the scale seem to have the same woes. That's all I'm saying. Shout out to T.
No, they don't.
In my experience from talking to them and selling them stuff, when you're haggling with them and they're like, well, why wouldn't you just buy the £10,000 more expensive preamp? You've got the money, haven't you? No, I haven't just got the money. That's a misapprehension. And then they tell you why. Like I would tell you why. Anyway, shout out to TVH. Nathan, you crack me up laughing so much when you say glurf. Dunning-Kruger, numpty idiot clown show pretenders who think level is curved. Yeah, exactly. Dunning-Kruger pretender clown muppets is definitely a QE-ism. Thank you for the super chat.
You better put back on the video and leave QE or some of it.
Okay, well, you can hear some of it.
When I was studying as a teenager, I looked into a lot of climate change, conspiracy theories, but this is back in the late 2000s, and I was just interested in learning and just being like, is global warming real, or is it actually like fake, or is it actually real? And I obviously found so much information to prove it's real, but again, like these are examples back then.
Ed?
Yeah, he said late, besides all the other stuff he said, that's nothing to do with the title of the video, late 2000s. What the hell is that? That'll be almost 21,000, whatever, the late 2000s. Well, what's he thought of it?
I think he means like up to 2009. I think that's what he means.
How do you know? He could mean up to 2019.
He could.
Or up to 2099. Who knows?
Matthew Eastman says, when does the book go on the market? Hopefully before Christmas, Matthew. So fortunately, I can give you a fairly accurate time because Adam actually drew up a spreadsheet to show which chapters had been gone through and which hadn't. And some of the bigger chapters have all been done, and there's about 5 or I think it's 6 chapters of the book that still need revision. They're all written, they just need redoing. And then it'll go to the publisher, have one last look through, and then it'll get published. So hopefully before Christmas, with a bit of luck. I've said it before and I've said it again. The standards, again, as much as I'm telling the job centre, oh yeah, I've got a book that'll help with my revenue income, etc., etc. the standard has to be very, very high. And in the back of my mind, I knew this all along. The book's going to be heavily scrutinized, like incredibly heavily scrutinized. If there's one comma out of place in that book, people will note it. So it has to be of a very high standard. Therefore, the level of scrutiny that it's under currently is absolutely warranted and will result in an absolutely fantastic product. It already is. So I'm not shy about bigging up this book when it comes out. It will be fantastic. There is no other way to describe it. And it will be family friendly, use certificate, worthy of passing on as a reference for this subject matter. So when will it come out? When it's done. But hopefully that's before Christmas. Shout out to Andrew, who joined as a penguin.
Even in the 2000s as a kid, it's like there wasn't that much climate education resources for me to even look into, and I could have easily fallen into that trap too. And luckily I majored in environmental science and took a lot of climate change courses. But again, I think that's just like another thing where it is our duty as creatives on here.
So if you are referencing science in terms of climate change, then presumably you can actually validate this with the scientific method if you were to understand what it is, and you do not. So there's a potential to suggest that you have observed phenomena that could be put through the method. It will not be the case with climate change. But nevertheless, it's just another hijacking of this empirical methodology by terminology that doesn't actually utilize the method, aka pseudoscience.
To support these platforms that talk about climate educations that are 100% factual. They're
100% factual in terms of their scientific validity that they offer when they offer conjecture and speculation. And none of them are going to have that. Go on.
Sorry. I keep thinking you're stopped. This is about the third or fourth time today. You're not. Go on ahead. I'm sorry.
I was done. You were right.
All right, sorry. I was going to say, yeah, they're 100% factual, as in they're exactly the rhetoric that has been put out as climate change. So every part of that will be 100% connected to and directly in line with climate change. All you have to do now is prove the existence of it in the manner that they're speaking. You know what I mean? Scientifically, which they can't, because it's all made up. You know what I mean? It's all like, we observe this thing here and that thing over there and this temperature over here. So we put all these things together and we come up with some nonsense. And then we add legs to it. That's all it is. It's like, yeah, have things changed? Yes, they have changed. Things are different now weather-wise than they were 30 years ago, let's just say. Yes, that is true. But 30 years before that was different from 30 years ago as well.
You know, I've started to hear various conspiracy theorists, as this guy's referring to them, right, saying, nah, the reason for all this propaganda about climate change is because they're hiding the real truth. And that's that we're heading for a big freeze. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Yeah, the ice age.
Well, it was important to change the wording, right? Because when it was an incoming ice age and then they realized it was getting warmer, they said, oh, shit, we got to change it. Then they called it global warming. And then when they realized, well, it's not warming the way we said it was, they got to change it to something else. Let's change it to climate change. Well, what does climate do?
Change.
Right. Thanks. So thank you, Captain Obvious, all the scientists out there who wanted to call climate change climate changing, which is what climate does.
Captain Obvious. He's a Nancy tree hugger, this dude. It's fucking amateur night.
Fear-based mind control he's been victim to. Oh no, we're going to boil. It's boiling. The world is getting hotter. Oh no, it's going to get colder. We're all going to freeze to death. Yeah, whatever.
How many places were told that they were going to be underwater by 1996?
We were. I remember the jokes about it in the 90s. The Scottish people saying that they were looking forward to it when they're sitting watching the English drown holding a coconut.
It was back in the 70s. They said by 2000, Florida would be underwater.
Yep.
It makes me laugh when David Attenborough, what did he say last time? Global sea levels are rising. Global sea levels.
Possibility.
That was science back then, boy.
The oxymoronic global sea levels rising was science, was it?
No, Florida underwater. That's science. Science back then.
They're 100% science and also work with institutions and nonprofits and governments to help amplify these types of concerns. Thanks for watching, and be sure
They work with governments to help amplify the concerns. What?
to like the video, leave a comment with something you'd like or other topics you'd like for me to explore.
Okay, so I would advise my audience, yeah, pop along. He's only had a couple of 100 views. We can probably double his view count just by this audience toddling along, which isn't normally the case. We're normally the smaller YouTuber. But I've put a link to his video in the comment section of the live stream chat right now. So if you are watching, there's 118 of you, please go and let this guy know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment, and maybe suggest he covers the scientific method in a later video. He'll find that out if he comes here.
I'll leave him a polite comment, all right.
Yeah, got to be a polite comment or it'll get removed by the YouTube censors or him.
Yeah, but it'll get removed, but the satisfaction of leaving it is the thing. Sometimes you know the comment won't make it, but you just want to say it.
Gotcha.
Okay, well, we're done with him. Isaac, or whatever he's called, Hermandez. Thank you for your making of a video. Shame you don't know what science is. Now you know why you've got a whole bunch of my audience coming to let you know that I sent them.
He doesn't need to. People aren't going to this video or this guy to get straight facts, in quotes, about the globe and how it proves that flat Earth is wrong. This is a blanket clicker. This is somebody you go to just listen to him say, yes, of course it's a globe, right? Oh, okay, thank you. And then you can go to sleep nice and comfortably with your blanket tucked, knowing that you live on a globe and everything is great.
You call him Blanket Tucker.
If you like this, I'll be back with more debunking videos in the future, and I want to hear your thoughts about the flat Earth theory. What do you
debunk the soup sandwich, Nancy?
Debunking. His video has absolutely zero information in it about any topic.
Exactly?
So I was refreshing it to look if anybody had actually left any comments. Yep, people have. Thank you very much for those of you who've left comments saying at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me.
Well, this is how he's not as stupid as he's coming across, because someone either him or, well, what I mean is that from a YouTube point of view, he knows if he jumps onto this subject, it does generate activity. It will generate people subscribing to your channel or people attacking your channel or whatever. He knows that that type of video will generate some kind of activity. So he'll gain some kind of subscribers out of it. He knows that'll happen. But
you know what a complete Nancy stranger tree hugger's thoughts are? Really?
Well,
you validate that.
No, he's not a Nancy tree hugger. He's a homosexual vegan. No, he is.
I know. That's
what I just said. That's what I just said. You didn't get that part? Break down Nancy tree hugger.
And he likes nuts.
Okay. Anyway. Fun. Anything else before we round out and ask people to stay tuned?
Yes, Huey had nothing to say or to add about anything. He must have something to say.
He must have.
Yeah, get stuck.
Okay, well, I'll endeavour to do that. But with that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, subscribed, hit the super chat, hit me up on Ko-Fi and PayPal, became a Patreon, all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.